So, agape, universal love and appreciation. Today we're going to talk about nature. And nature is something that doesn't have boundaries. Some might think that it's ironic that I'm doing this video in an apartment and not in nature, but first of all, I don't have a portable camera, so that's not an option. And second of all, the truth of the matter is nature doesn't have boundaries like that. We don't live in a world where there's this thing called cities and this thing called the park, and those things must be always separated, and if you were to try to bring them together, it would be this catastrophe. The truth of the matter is that nature is reality. Reality is nature. The two are synonymous, and there is no separation, there is no boundary. What we create is a product of nature, because we ourselves are nature. We are nature experiencing itself. We are reality experiencing itself. There is no separation between our creation and the creation of the reality around us. So this idea that we have this, we have this human nature and then there's this nature that we have to contend with somehow is just silly. It's just silliness. The reality is that we have the potential to transcend the boundaries of our own limitations, but that doesn't mean that we've exceeded the boundaries of nature. We're always going to be within the boundaries of nature because the boundaries of nature don't exist. There are no boundaries. The truth is, we are all expressions of a much greater reality than we give ourselves credit for. And the beauty of it is that it is a holographic fractal simulation. It is not a conventional Newtonian physics billiard ball atomic reality. It's quantum, meaning that it is probabilistic. It is very much more on a level of the experiment with Schrodinger's cat. It's probabilistic. It doesn't have the sort of qualities to it that we think it does, like permanence and coherence and so forth. These things are determined by a set of statistical probabilities. And so the whole conundrum or the koan of if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? The answer is there is no tree. There is no tree. There is no forest. When we leave that area, it doesn't exist in the sense that we think it does. We are white holes. We create reality through our perception of it, through our consciousness. And this is something that is perhaps stranger than fiction. We are definitely a lot more skeptical about this than there being the proposition of a sky daddy who watches over us and cares if we masturbate or not. So this is something that it's confrontational in a sense. It's very against what the conventional, traditional thought is. But it's also much more in alignment with that than the current scientific, rationalistic mindset. Yet it also transcends that. This is an integral, aperspectival approach to reality. And it has a lot of implications that I'd like to get into. One of them is the, as I said, fractal holographic nature of reality. Fractals are a very big part of reality itself. They're in everything. If you don't know what fractals are, you should definitely look into what they are. I have the Mandelbrot set tattooed on my chest, and it's something that has a lot of meaning. The reason I have it on my chest is because it's a sacred symbol to me. In mathematics, the Mandelbrot set is considered the thumbprint of God, and it's not just a thumbprint. It is a signature. It is a hallmark. Everything bears the consistency of this geometric shape, and so we can learn an immense amount from nature because of this characteristic that it has. If everything is fractal, that means that everything is interconnected in a fractal way, which means that, for instance, there are self-similar returns that occur. And one of the most important things that we have to realize is that these self-similar returns have implications. For instance, we're living on a planetary organism, and our evolution as a species is manifesting an organism in the sense that there are organs. The infrastructure that we create is, for instance, the road systems are like vein networks, the cars are like little cells of blood cells carrying messenger sort of proteins that are us to different locations, dispersing them. Those then create information and other kind of ideas and so forth, and they go back into those cells and are carried back to their home. So this is a very a powerful realization. The internet itself is sort of the mind of this planetary organism, and it's developing very rapidly, considering the previous evolution of history. So the other component of it is perhaps the nerve network that is the electrical systems of the planet as well. So this is a powerful realization potentially, and it's something that if we were to use this constructively and realize that there is a planetary organism, we could then create the world civilization that we are all well aware is on its way. The issue is whether it's going to be done coercively by an elite small group of people, or if it's going to be an emergent non-coercive and peaceful evolution of our individual and collective consciousness into a world civilization. That's the question. Whether it will be done by coercion or by immersion. And so we can learn an immense amount from the evolution of nature itself in terms of eukaryotic cells going from single-cellular organisms to multicellular organisms, and the power, the potential of us becoming a sort of multicellular organism, a planetary organism, is an immense thing. And I believe that that is the next step in our evolution as a species, if we can handle the responsibility of doing that. And that's a very serious issue. And so the next step in our evolution, as I said, is to inherit a planetary organism ship. The biophilic perspective overcoming the necrophilic perspective, the psychopathic structures being overcome and transcended by empathic structures and sentimentalist structures that incorporate rationality and have an aperspectival, integral approach to them. Now, this is a lot of words, I understand, but what it basically boils down to is the platinum rule, which is to treat others as they would like to be treated. And so the nature of reality is much different from what we are conditioned, indoctrinated to believe it is, and this has vast implications for our development as a species. And so with that, I would just like to say agape, love, appreciation. The future has no immediate destination. We are on the journey, and I am appreciative to share this journey with you. Thank you. Peace.